Hi, everybody. It's March 20th, 2025, and this is the weekly Backdrop Dev meeting. We get together every week to talk about development priorities for Backdrop CMS. My name is Nate Lampton. I'm Quick Sketch on the internet, calling in from Oakland, California. I'm core committer and technical lead for the Backdrop project. We've got a pretty loose schedule today, so open to discussions and topics as people want to bring them. We do have some announcements, but I'll get to those right after we do introductions. Um, we'll go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves. So we'll start off with Luke, and then we'll go to Eli.
All right, I am Luke. Excuse me. I am Luke McCormick, Martinez, California, which is near San Francisco and Oakland. I'm a web management and with AI's help coder, uh, consultant and such. I'm going to be at DrupalCon this coming week, and so I'm going to insert some things related to that into the conversation a little bit later.
Thanks, Luke. Eli, and then Joseph.
Hello, my name is Eli Lissick. I'm a developer with Giant Rabbit, and I'm calling from San Diego, California. And we just launched a couple big backdrop sites this week and last week, so that's exciting.
That's great. Can you tell us what the URLs are?
Yeah, I don't think it's any big thing. One of them is usenix.org. I can paste them in the chat if it's easier. And one of them is My Shakespeare, which I think is a .com.
That's great. We'll pull those up. All right, Joseph, and then Tim.
I am Joseph. I'm a developer from Las Vegas, Nevada, and lately I've been working on actually making a UI for the revision changes we added 5 years ago.
That's great. Yeah, if you have anything to show, I'd love to see it. Um, let's see, Tim, and then Martin.
I'm Tim Stalker. I work for the University of Colorado, Denver. One of the biggest schools on the downtown campus, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And I'm interested in Backdrop to try to figure out how to use it to replace an install profile from D7.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for being here. Martin, and then finally Jen.
Hi, I'm Martin Price, Yorkshire Pudding around Backdrop. I'm a Backdrop web developer and contributor based in Northeast England, United Kingdom.
Thanks, Martin. Jen?
Jen Lampton, joining from Oakland, California.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's see. Yeah, announcements for today. First of all, there is Backdrop Live coming up in a couple of weeks. So Backdrop Live is April 3rd and 4th. So that's just in, yeah, almost 2 weeks from today. And you can find out more about Backdrop Live. It's our online conference where it's open for sessions right now. And if you visit events.backdropcms.org, you can get registered and submit a session and see what sessions have been submitted thus far. There's also a lot of conversation happening in Zulip, our chat system, if you want to hop in and learn more about Backdrop Live through the chat. Also, news software releases. We had 2 releases yesterday. We coordinated security releases of Backdrop Core with Drupal core. It's kind of interesting because it was the first release, I believe, for the Drupal 7 extended support project. So we coordinated with the Drupal team and the Drupal 7 extended support team to get the Backdrop 130.2 and 129.5 releases out. In particular, the thing that we coordinated around. Hang on, I'm blanking on which aspect it was. Jen.
Was link field
Link
module.
field. Yeah. Link field. So actually, I guess that means it wasn't a Drupal 7 core release, though. It was just the
True.
link, the
Drupal 7
contrib
contrib.
module link got an update. But still, the first time we've done any kind of coordination with D7 extended support. And they're still figuring out the processes over there. It's kind of the short version of it. Still using security Drupal.org is the place where we had been coordinating, and we kind of thought that there might be something new that we were going to switch to using, but nope, keep using what works. I've just made a section for Drupal 7 over there now, which we're happy to coordinate with them on. All right. Let's see. Luke just hopped off, but the next thing I was going to ask about was DrupalCon. Luke, if you want to say something real quick about it.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, basically, there's self-scheduled birds of feather sessions there, which they've got a Calendly link to reserve times, and I had already have one reserved for my simplified Drupal thing, and just in a backstage conversation with Justin Kaiser a few days ago, we kind of floated the idea of. I went through a couple of variations, but long story short, the idea came up to have a hybrid session incorporating a BOF and the Backdrop community. So the original idea was to set up a BOF during Backdrop user group time, and make it like a try to connect the members of the Drupal community that happen to be wandering by with that. And we're not sure about sort of scheduling. We didn't want to. I wasn't quite sure what kind of waves I was making by suggesting that. So that's kind of where it's sitting there. But and that's the vague nature that it is. There are the sort of possibilities to connect with the Drupal community via BOF, and a couple of open connectors, but nothing's really nailed down yet. And still lots of availability. We could do it probably almost any day, any time that, for whatever reason, seemed suitable.
As that takes shape, where should people find more information? Are you posting to like Zulip or
I haven't
or
yet,
somewhere?
but the logical thing would be a Zulip thread, and
Yeah.
I'm silly for not having done that yet. So I'll do that. I'll make a Zulip thread to flesh out that idea.
Yeah, you could also probably cross-link it over on Drupal Slack, which is the, common place over there. There's actually a Backdrop channel inside of Drupal Slack that could also be an appropriate place.
Logical spot, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a good number of people in that group. I'm not sure how I'm not in Drupal Slack much these days, but other people, there may be a good number of people that are Backdrop friendly in that sub-channel of Drupal Slack.
Yeah. All right. So I think I'm going to push it up from vague concept to now. I'm planning to put together a Backdrop BOF at DrupalCon, no matter what I think. And
That's
it's
great.
a question of just like scheduling it and figuring out how that interacts with anything else.
Cool. And that's next week, right?
Yep.
Possibly Thursday is what you're thinking. So a week from today.
But possibly Thursday, but possibly somehow intersecting with the Thursday meetings, possibly somehow intersecting with office hours. I mean, those are two sort of like scheduled times, and then there's all the other times that aren't scheduled.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for representing Backdrop at DrupalCon, Luke. It is nice. Yeah, it seems like, as far as I can remember, almost every major Drupal event has had some Backdrop liaison at it. And I always like hearing the updates and seeing what comes out of those conferences. It's yeah.
I'll be wearing my hoodie around. So.
Oh yeah, nice, nice. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first DrupalCon after Drupal 7 end of life. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. The people that are still on Drupal 7, I'm not sure they're going to DrupalCons at this point, but who knows? Uh, at the same time, our experience at Bad Camp last year was uh, really positive, where we had the Backdrop Summit. Irina actually wrote an article on recapping Bad Camp just recently. It's an unpublished post. It's a little uh, late in getting written, but hey, better late than never.
Yeah.
But yeah, really positive that animosity between Backdrop and Drupal is pretty much
Feels like it's
faded.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's like gone. Like everybody gets it now. Like, they have seen the transition, like and also, like, a lot of our rhetoric was like, this is happening, like it could be disaster. And you know what? It came to pass, and it kind of was a disaster. And it also, like, but we also said, even 10 years ago, that Drupal's going to be fine. It's just going to be fine inside of a different audience than it had been. And that
Yeah.
also turned out to be true and fine. And so Drupal was never, in our opinion, like, an imminent risk of ending. It was just changing, and that's what our message was. And so I think that now, in hindsight, people can see that did turn out to be true. So
I mean, it's a common topic of conversation, right, within the Drupal world of where have all the hobbyists gone? And then it's like, well, there was that time you abandoned them. Maybe that had something to do with it.
yeah, I do kind of like, one thing. I'm really in support of the concept of, like, the purpose of Drupal CMS, like, let's bring in new people again. Like, that's the idea, and, like, let's go lower market. Um, had that been the messaging and the intention 10 years ago, Backdrop probably wouldn't exist.
Right.
But that was not the message. And now there's really a lot of backpedaling, and I'm not totally sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's achievable. I don't know. We'll see. I think the message is important, though, like, what you're trying to do with your software. Um, and so I applaud Drupal for trying to shore up their base a bit. Well, hi, Tim. Welcome as well.
Hi.
All right. So that was DrupalCon. And yeah, the only topics we have today, Irina, who's not here yet, she may show up, wanted to talk about recipes a little bit. And I think um I'm not quite sure what her objective is here. She just said that she wanted to know how uh, she should name a recipe, how she should distribute it, because she made her first recipe called Extended Editor Text Format as a contrib module. And she released it into the Backdrop contrib group. Does not have an official release yet, but it's intended to be uh, installed or coordinated with the recipes contrib module. Um, and Jen, you wrote the recipes contrib module, and Tim is also, active in this. It's possible this is, like, widely available information, and maybe this is a retread of, stuff that has been discussed many times. But if you guys have any insights for Irina about, if I'm making a recipe and I put it into the contrib space, how should I distribute that, or if there's any special steps that are necessary?
Yeah, well, she might be under the mistaken perception that the recipe module works yet, which it doesn't. And so there is no immediate connection to that. I will try to take a look at her recipe, but and look and give her some advice. But yeah, otherwise you just publish them as normal, and there really isn't anything special to do. So
I
Yeah,
think
this
we sort
go
of
ahead.
have a like a non-enforced um thing where we just include the word recipe in the name.
right,
I think the module, Jen's module, like shows only things that are in the recipe. What is that called? Like package group?
Package. Yeah.
I don't remember what the actual info key is.
I think it's package.
So
Okay.
if you had a recipe and you wanted to add it to the recipes interface to enable from that,
There is no recipes interface yet. That's,
But the module, it does like give you a list of them and lets you turn them on and off.
yes, but this module doesn't work yet. It's not released.
But it does still
So-
let you turn them on and off.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't do anything else.
Right. Yeah,
But
all the other fancy features we've discussed don't exist, but it does
Okay,
list
But
them
you're
and
saying-
lets you install them.
but you're saying it does work. You could use it to just
turn them on and
view-
off.
to turn on and
It'll-
off recipes and filter by recipe.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't even know that worked. Okay.
Yeah, I want to
Well, so that requires just then that you give them the project type recipe?
Mhm.
Well,
In the info file. Package
okay,
type. I think it's still module is the project type, but then there's like a package equals line where you
Gotcha.
can like group things together. That's the thing. Yeah, it
Right.
uses.
good. That's what was confusing me for a second. Now it makes sense. Yeah. Okay,
Hey, Irina. I'll pull up
Hi,
screen share real quick to surface some other that it's funny, some of these things, it's not funny, but some of these things have been around for a long time. But this issue right here, and it's corresponding, there we go. backdropcms.org issue supporting more data and .info files. These two things would facilitate like finding and categorizing recipes a lot. If we first of all, for recipes, I think there needs to be some more decisions about the way that it should be structured. Maybe even just like, so category, for example, is one of the suggestions that we should make and make it so that backdropcms.org starts indexing this information, and then stuff like the project browser could then select a category of modules when you're looking at a list of modules or looking at project browser instead of only having the search. So these two issues have been open for a long time, but definitely would be some pretty big improvements to the way that project browser works. Yeah, this also includes like adding screenshots or themes, for example, which then would allow project browser to show images, right? That would be a big improvement to things.
Do we have screenshots in modules?
Yeah.
Okay, just not themes.
Well,
They're in themes too, and there's infrastructure on the website to support importing them, but I don't think there's been any update to project module to actually take the content out of the GitHub repository and import it into the fields in backdropcms.org. So that's the missing piece there.
but yeah, for the time being, I think doing what you're suggesting, Tim, just make package equal recipe is, that's the only tool that we currently have available.
well, yeah, but the only place that's going to matter is if you're using the recipe module, I think. Which the only thing that lets you do is turn recipes on and off, and it isn't even released yet. So,
Well,
like
it would also group them together in the list
Yeah.
of modules page. So
that's true.
that would be the other benefit.
I'll have to check and make sure I've been doing that with mine. But the other thing we've been doing is just, as what Joseph mentioned, is including the word recipe in the title, because that makes them easily searchable on backdrop.org. And yeah,
Search for recipe currently returns some modules, but not all modules have recipe in title. All recipes has a recipe in title. Or
to
if
my
there's
knowledge, they all do up until yours. I'm unaware of any recipes that don't have the recipe in the title.
my module does not have a release yet, so it won't show up anyways.
I understood, yeah.
Yeah, which, so I guess missed my own question. So Jen, I filed the issue today, and I don't know if you already answered that. It's on the module. Okay, so my question was how they show up.
What do you mean? On where? On backtopcms.org?
No, you have module called recipe,
Uh-huh.
and it is administrative UI for
Yeah, we did just answer that. It's the package line in the info file.
okay.
Yeah, so if you say package equals recipe, then recipe module picks it up.
Does it require release or it doesn't?
No, this is just for your your local site. So like if you're running the dev version of the recipe module and you have like 8 custom recipes that are just on your site, as long as it says package equals recipe, it'll show up on that listing. So they don't have to be in Contrib, they don't have to have releases, they just have to be on the same website as the
Right.
module. Yeah.
It doesn't. This is why
Irina,
It-
you might be under the recipe module was a project in progress, right? And it does what Jen just described, but it doesn't help you find recipes. It doesn't help you download recipes. The only thing it does is if you download some recipes and you download that module, it will then show you just the recipes.
okay, that means that I filed bug correctly because I am on, let me see if I can share. So my recipe does have Word package recipe. And it is not showing up. I can see it in list of modules, but I can't see it on the admin structure recipes. And I
Okay.
did clear caches, so I don't know
I can get it.
how else to report it then.
So it looks like, Jen, you're just taking a look at that problem and
Yeah, I'll just look at the issue.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right. I said that at the beginning we had a pretty open schedule today, and now we're out of agenda items. So if anybody has anything else they'd like to bring up or discuss, then yeah, we kind of have an open floor here. I'm gonna pull up Eli's websites, if you don't mind, Eli, because they look great. myshakespeare.com. Excellent.
Yeah, this one is
photography.
fun. They've got a kind of a React app inside for some interaction with plays, and they've got it's like on a Kubernetes cluster because they get a ton of traffic. So that one's pretty fun.
Is that associated with a Shakespeare festival? Like, I'm just
I
wondering.
don't really know. I had more involvement with the other site on our list, and a couple of our other developers had more involvement with this one, so I'm not too sure. But these are both migrations from Drupal 7 sites.
Wow. Yeah, this looks lovely. This has actually got a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Like this crazy like extra helping like on words where it's like, oh, these unusual words, it's gonna put little like modern interpretations of these words that might not be understood by modern readers. Huh. That is very cool. And then we also have Usenix, which also looks great. Yeah, these are both fantastic websites, Eli.
Cool. Yeah, they were a lot of fun to do. This one, let's see, what was the interesting wrinkle with this one? They had like an OG theme scheme in Drupal 7 that like rethemes each of their zillion conferences. So that was an interesting one to try and like migrate into the layouts paradigm.
Oh wow. So there's like a whole like different conference. Wow. Appearances for every conference.
I'm excited
Wow.
to see an appearance of Usenix. Usenix is like O'Reilly books in terms of the, how important they were in the early days of the internet. The,
Yeah, they're still going strong, and they sponsored a good chunk of the ports of the Salesforce module and the Commerce module.
Wow. Yeah, look at the all this legacy content going back years and years. Wow, that's amazing that this was ported and maintained it like and kept its appearance through
I think
through
if
an
you go
upgrade.
back far enough, you might find a few that I have not managed the layouts for yet. But yeah, a lot of them are working.
Oh yeah.
So is it built with Backdrop?
Yeah, these are both new Backdrop site launches.
Nice.
Yeah, this is amazing. Like trying to even figure out how you could support, I mean, like an appearance like this, like all in one site. That seems just incredible. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, we can unpack it, offline if you want to talk about it. I'm happy to talk about it. It's been the last, I don't know, 8 months of my life.
Nate's like
Wow.
inspecting the source code. How? How does
Yeah.
it work?
How do you have so many different appearances all on one site? Amazing. Yeah,
I mean, it has web pages in there under legacy. They go back to before the invention of the World Wide Web. So that's a neat trick.
yeah,
So
this
there's
one's
a conflict.
generator still says Drupal though, so I wonder if there's some
Not Backdrop yet.
shenanigans here. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm still very impressed, Eli. Looks amazing.
Eli, can we put together a showcase because we're trying to do one blog post or one showcase a week and do it on the regular basis, and this can be in 2 weeks if you have enough time to create a showcase.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know exactly what's involved. I could try to do a Usenix one. I know Peter, who works with us, wanted to do the one for My Shakespeare since he was involved in a lot of the tech of that one, which is really interesting. And I'm not sure when he's going to get that out, but we'll do something here.
Creating showcases, a little bit of writing. It has very well preset fields. Jen, maybe eventually we'll have field for related whoever built it, like related service provider, but
Yeah, just lovely.
We're trying to work on a showcase too. Is Joseph still here? Yeah. Joseph,
Yeah.
do we have questions about the forward revisions API that we should ask now? Joseph and I were trying to detangle what exactly was added with that forward revisions API, and I think we kind of figured it out, or at least we think we did, right?
Mhm.
Should we?
Yeah. I think I have all the core stuff figured out. The problem is just the content moderation module is overly complicated, I think, and so it's hard to add stuff to it.
So we had kind of announced that we were working on the content moderation module. People have been asking about that, and we had a use case for it. I think the current plan might be to actually, like the really core feature that I think most people are looking for, seems like it might be pretty simple to pull out and put into a simple module on its own, which is just basically the ability to save a forward draft ahead of where you are now. The content moderation module does a lot more than that. And I think that our current status seems to be that it's going to be easier to just do a really simple forward revision module to start with. And then by then maybe be a little bit more knowledgeable about the API, how it works. And then we'll go back and look at content moderation afterwards and see that module, see if we can get that working. But
Yeah. Do you want to actually, do you want me to share and show what I have at the moment? Because you haven't seen my changes. Yeah,
I
I'd like
haven't
to.
seen, yeah, we
I'd
didn't
like
get
to.
Okay, yeah.
sure. It's really basic at the moment. So this is the standard revisions page from core on a post that I've been working on. And I added this column just so I can see if each revision, like its status. But I've added this activate button into the list of options. And I also added new draft, but that doesn't work yet. But if I can just go here and, oh, maybe. Oh, there we go. And it gives me a confirmation form. And so now this is the active revision. So if I go to view, it has my 25. And if I go back here, and so this one's not published. So if I click active and go there, now if I go to view, it has a different title, and it also gives me that this post is unpublished message. So I think I want something sort of like the content moderation module where you can like have a published, where you can basically approve a revision and then it'll become published. Although I don't have that working yet, but yeah, you can pick any revision and just make it the default revision.
And the default revision means the one that's displaying the current.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
It's referred to as the active revision in the content moderation module.
And so for those who aren't familiar with the backstory, we added the API for this into core back in 2020. And we had a UI, but we got very bogged down in the complexities of the UI, like what to call the current revision, what to call a future revision, and eventually decided not to do a UI in core, but to leave that to Contrib. And as far as I know, this will be the first potentially Contrib module to actually use that API. And you know, I think Joseph and I are still working on the actual UI, like what terms to use, the final terms that we'll actually use, like activate. I'm not sure if it's the right term, but it works for now.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and working with the content moderation module, they actually have 3 sort of states. So there's like which revision is the revision listed in the node table. There's the status of the revision, whether it's published or not, and then the content moderation adds its own workflow with its own new status that they use to control that as well. So there's that like there's a published state for the content moderation module that's separate from the published state of the node itself. So that's a bit confusing.
What other options are in that drop down there? There's activate and then
So there's
new draft, revert, and
so yeah, so revert and delete are the 2 core options. So if you click, so the old behavior, essentially what we got from Drupal 7 is you have revert and delete. And if you click revert, what it does is it makes a new revision that is a copy of that revision. So if I clicked like revert on, hang on, this one says 23. So if I clicked revert, nope, on this, it's going to it created a new revision that has the title from the first one I clicked. That it basically copied the revision and made that the current one, rather than making this revision the active revision. So but that's because in Drupal 7 it would just use whatever the last revision is as the active revision.
Yep.
But
yeah.
now because
I really like this ability to not have the highest, the latest revision be an active one, like just the ability to activate a previous revision without without making another revision. Like
Yeah.
it seems really nice because
That
the number of times that I've done something where it's like I want to have something ready, but I don't want to publish it yet. And so the previous revision should be active, and then just later I'm going to activate the latest revision without constantly putting a new revision
Mhm.
on top of my other stuff, you know? 'Cause
Right.
yeah,
And
that's great.
another thing we can do is we can actually edit revisions. So
Oh, that's what I
uh,
was going to ask, but I was like, surely that won't work, but
yeah, no, that works just fine.
Wait, Joseph, what are you talking about?
So you can load. So there's a in Drupal 7's entity API. There was an entity load revision, although I think you can do node load, node ID, revision ID, and it is the same. But you can just load an older version of a node and pass that into the node form function, and it'll return you back a node form for the old version of the thing. And if you save it, it'll save over that older version.
Okay. I'm not sure that's a good idea, even though if
Well,
it's
but
possible. Yeah,
but
go ahead.
what we could do is we could create a new draft and then edit that revision repeatedly. And then once that draft is approved, then we stop showing the button to edit it. So you could
Or
have
you could have a new draft working and you also need to edit the current one. So you need to be able to edit different drafts at the same time.
right.
Yeah.
And so we could have like an actual approval process via the content moderation module where you you have you have approved revisions which have gone through the editorial experience, and those can't be edited, but you have like in progress ones that can. And like that seems totally feasible to do.
Yeah. And this has been in course since like 116, I think. And we have,
We added this 5 years ago.
yeah, and we haven't quite fleshed out the whole UI side of it. So yeah, I really appreciate you working on this, Joseph. This is great.
Yeah, and I'm not sure saying that a revision is the active revision is the best one. I was just going with that because that's what's in the content moderation module.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think it's fine.
If anybody, if we Joseph's able to release a simple module with really just this functionality, does anybody have a good name for it? The best we've come up with, I think, so far is just forward revisions. I thought about simple workflow, but there is a Drupal 7 project with that name already.
What's the relationship between published and activate? If you put
so
Published?
a published node can only be seen by people with or can be seen by anybody with view content. But if it's unpublished, you have to have edit permissions in order to see it.
So that published status, yes or no, relates to the article or the content
Right.
itself.
Yes. So so currently anonymous users can see this article, but if I were to go to a revision that's not published, this is now hidden from anonymous users, the whole page, because I'm on a revision that's not published.
I see.
And that's why content moderation has its own published status on each revision, so that the node can stay published while you're editing a revision that's not published.
What happened? I still find this a bit confusing. Joseph and I talked about it quite a bit. What happens if I go to the node right now? I'm going to see nothing.
You will see this.
If you're an admin.
Yes, and if I take
but if I'm not, if I'm an unauthenticated user and I go to that node, will there be anything?
Nope.
Because the current
No.
revision is unpublished.
Yeah, if I take this URL and post it as into another browser as an anonymous user, it'll just give me an access denied or a page not found, probably, actually.
Yeah.
So this page essentially doesn't exist because I have switched to an unpublished revision.
Yeah. It took a while before I even envision a use case for this. I think it's fairly fringe and I find it very confusing. So we'll have to really be careful with this in the UI. So.
Well, this is,
Go ahead.
so the reason is that in Drupal 7, they didn't have the ability to switch revisions. And so your node was just published or not published. And that was just in the revision table because it was a key from your node.
Would it
It's
be
just
possible
awkward.
to possibly add a name to a revision? Like
Sure. Yeah. When you can add notes to them. That's what these are.
okay, great.
So you can
That exists in core right now. You can put notes in each revision. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this is
I
great.
think I think if you click the revert, it just auto generates this.
Copy of the.
But if you go to the edit form and go to revision information, you can put a new thing here. And
Yeah,
then
it may make sense as a option in this module to disable, like to hide the revert thing, because this is providing
Sure.
a completely different alternative, and maybe having both at the same time is going to be confusing.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to
think
make that case. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the new draft is probably going to be the replacement for it because it'll
Right.
just
Yeah.
I'll just give you an edit form, let you change it, and then just create a new revision.
Yeah, because that sounds useful. Well, this
Yeah,
looks
and-
great. It's very interesting, and it's also not surprising that the biggest challenge is terminology and UI, and
Right. Yeah,
because
because
it's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around.
we were running around in circles the other day with content moderation.
So I'm going to ask I don't know if this question makes any sense. When Joseph and I first talked about this, I think I had a bit of a misperception about what went into the API change we made. And I don't remember, Nate or Jen, if you guys even remember the details, because it's been so long ago. But I was thinking part of what we added was the ability it's turning out this might not have even been necessary. This might already be possible.
Yes.
I thought that what we had added was the ability to add more than 2 states, published or unpublished, for like a revision. And it sounds like that maybe wasn't even necessary to add. Maybe we can do that already. And that the main thing that the PR added was this ability to have a forward revision so that you could, I don't know, do you remember at all exactly, like technically what was it that we changed?
Yeah, it was just the latest revision doesn't have to be the published revision. Like we
Yeah.
just untangled those two things from being stuck together, but we didn't add any UI. We didn't add any additional like ability to move things through workflow states. We're like, that's all Contrib. We're just going to detach these two things so that Contrib can have an easier time managing that sort of thing.
Yeah, so there's nothing in core that would block. So I mean, it would have been hard for a contrib module to do that before, that particular thing, and now it's easier.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is no obstacle for a contrib module to add like an alternative state of a revision. If we want to add a needs review state, there's nothing that in core that blocks that, right? We can just do that.
No.
Right. Well, so I think, yeah, we would have to add our own table, and that's what content moderation does. Because
this module doesn't plan the simple module doesn't plan to do like to add those kinds of states or anything. It's just purely forward, the ability to have a forward revision.
Right.
Yeah.
It's essentially just adding like 3 new buttons to each of the revisions on the list.
Yeah.
Now,
and it's largely doing it all on the revisions tab, which is
Mhm.
also a good idea to like avoid the complexities of the node form, where there's already a
Right.
lot of stuff going on over
Well,
there.
we did also discuss adding a button to the node form so you could like save, you can edit it and you can save and it'll just make it the active revision right away, or they'll add a second button that's save as draft. And then it'll create the new revision, but not change it to be the active one.
Yeah, I think we might end up having to do that, but we'll see. Get
Okay.
a little further.
With the content moderation module, the way it currently works, so this is the active revision and its status draft. If I publish this revision with the content moderation modules thing, then it'll say it made the message about being unpublished go away. And then if I edit it, so this is a problem with the content moderation module at the moment. And so the state will be draft for this new revision. If I hit save, now my post got unpublished because I created a new revision that's not published. So rather than leaving this one as the active revision, it made my new revision the active revision.
No.
So, and that's honestly been the hardest part at this point, is just trying to figure out how to add new buttons to the content moderation module. Like
Okay.
I think actually figuring out how to change the active revision was like a 3-line function that I just pass a node into.
Well,
Okay,
this
well, if anybody has any module names, ideas, let us know.
a active revision could also be, I don't know, forward revision.
I was thinking published for the state of the node, and then active for which one is being shown, and then approved for if the individual revision is published, basically.
Okay. I think the meeting's going to be almost over.
Mhm.
I have. I'm just going to ask a real quick question. I'm going to share my screen, just see if anybody has. I want to know if this is a known issue. I don't need anybody to debug it. This is a website that with contextual menus, and for so I know contextual menus are working here. It's using paragraphs. And when this is a taxonomy page with a view of the taxonomy terms, and there's a view here, but the contextual menus are not working. And apparently, paragraphs also has its own sort of contextual menus, and they also don't work on this page. And I'm just wondering if there's any known court or paragraph related issues that anybody is aware of. I couldn't find any. And then if not, we need to figure out what the cause of the problem, whether it's a paragraphs issue or a core issue.
Are you using a display mode here? Like this is a full node display, or is it a view that is using fields?
I believe this is the view of the taxonomy, like the default. Can we go? So the layout is the term page. And I don't remember now if this is a block that we put in there or not, but basically this is the default view of the taxonomy terms. And
is the contextual appearing when you do like inspect element and have a look around, have a look above?
Really smart question that I wish I had thought to check. Where would it be? It would be at probably above the paragraph. Well, I can look at that afterwards. That's it's a good next step, is to see
if it was there but just not being shown, it could be like a Z index thing.
Right.
But if it's not being shown, then there's something else going on.
Okay. I'm not going to try and debug this right now. Thank you. But nobody's knows of any open issues on that. So sounds like.
I have one more thing to ask, actually.
Sure, go ahead.
Related to that thing I was showing off. So my module and the content moderation module and the diff module all work by overriding the page callback for the revision page from the node module, which means the three of them inherently don't work together. is there a better way to do that? Because what I tried calling the node page and getting back a build or getting back its like build array, but a lot of those are pre-formatted HTML things that I can't really insert stuff into when I get them.
So I would be inclined to say we should pick the best fit is kind of the winner, I guess. I mean, because it seems to me like diff module using the revisions page is a little bit of a stretch.
Well, what it does is it lets you pick 2 revisions and shows you a diff of them. So
yeah. Have you seen the diff interface in WordPress, for example, which is totally different? I actually really kind of like it. It instead puts a horizontal scroller with like line marks on it, and so you move 2 dots on the horizontal scroller to compare the 2 different revisions, and then it shows the 2 revisions down below in a left-right presentation rather than and this is what I'm kind of getting at, is that there's a better interface available for diff that isn't a list of all of the revisions and the funny like 2 radio buttons that we've got in the table. Like that, the interface for diff module is not very good as it is, and I think that it's the shoehorning into the revisions page that makes it so bad.
okay.
And that if like I would say the solution here is like make better interfaces for the modules, like separate them out rather than trying to make them all work together in an abstracted way. Like make better interfaces for each of them if it's appropriate. So I don't know. That's what I would say is like let's try to maybe not modify the revisions page and start making our own. But because I kind of feel like, you know, in the case of this module, I don't know. I'm just spinning here. Like I'm kind of thinking like all of them should be making their own callbacks, and then maybe there should be an option somewhere to disable the revision list if it's being replaced by something else, you know, like this active revisions, or sorry, forward revisions might disable the core revisions page if it's replacing it with something completely different. I don't know. Just a thought. For diff module, I really feel like it should be a different menu callback though. Because I really think that we could do better.
Well, yeah.
But it's also really unlikely you would ever have content moderation and this forward revisions module at the same time. Like they're kind of alternatives to each other. So maybe that conflict doesn't really matter.
The main one would be the diff module, because I could easily see something like if you're manipulating revisions a lot, you might want to be able to compare 2 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think diff module just needs to separate itself from the revisions page.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, we're all out of time. We ran a little bit over. Tim, what's the after meeting today? You're muted.
I'm pretty sure it would be design UX meeting today. I don't know if we have any topics yet to talk about, but that's the plan. If you can, yep, go ahead.
Okay. All right, well, we'll wrap up for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. As always, interesting conversation. Seems like the less we have on the agenda, the more interesting the conversation is. Funny how that works. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, we'll catch up on Zulip. Maybe we'll see Luke at DrupalCon calling in from DrupalCon next week, Atlanta. And yeah, and also remember to take a look at events.backdropcms.org to get ready for Backdrop Live. And Irina, one more thing.
Yes, I just wanted to second invitation to Backdrop Live. This time we have very interesting sessions. There's particularly interesting session with Randy Fay on DDEV. And I would like to make sure that we invite people to join the session. We made a big effort to invite Randy, and we're very happy that he has accepted our invitation. So I want, and people have all kind of different questions that they can ask in chats, but it's also nice to come in, and also Randy is great in presenting things, helping people. So I hope to see lots of people at this session.
Yeah, he's super friendly and super supportive of Backdrop, so it goes together.
Yeah.
Extended invitation. So, and
right.
it's a good chance for people from different communities to connect. People are using GDAV for Node.js. People are using it for all kind of packages, and it is nice to have mix of people talking to each other. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Irina.
You.
All right. Well, we'll end for today. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.